I'm Lori, and this is the Goodbye Good Girl Project. And I thought I would jump on tonight onto Substack and do a little bit of tarot reading and help women, especially, get through the business crap. We've got this whole grit business thing going on forever. Where, oops, well, there's a card for us. Oh, well, I guess we're headed towards good, and that is exactly what I wanted to. I had put it in the message. I'd said, come on in. We got enough crazy stuff going on with the Orange Menace and everything else. And here's where we build the future. And this is what we're going to build. This is what we're building, which is community, co-working, helping each other build individual, either entrepreneurial sorts of situations or how to rise in your career or deal with your career. It's a very weird world out there, if you're a woman, you know this. If you're a woman and you're over 15, you know this. And it just gets to be more and more frustrating as you go along. And I spent many years in corporate America. So I know that environment very well. And I've also been working on my entrepreneurial chops for quite a long time as well. I worked for a long time to get out of doing corporate work. I ended up most recently doing contract work. And now I'm getting ready to launch an app about Goodbye Good Girl and helping women live outside of these, masculine only shoulds. Because there's a lot that we feel frustrated with. And I had this one guy today who was on a podcast, not a podcast. Yeah, it was somebody else's. No, it was a meeting about podcasting. And the guy said, hey, so-and-so, I don't remember who he was talking about, has this amazing thing out there and you can learn from all of these billionaires. Well, maybe, but I'm definitely not in that group of people. I think to be a billionaire, there's a propensity towards not giving a crap about other people. So I'm definitely not in that group, and money has nothing to do with it. But the leader of the meeting and I both said, are there any women in that group? And he said, who cares? Who cares? And she said, well, I care. And I said, I do. And he said, what difference does it make if you're going to learn good stuff, if you're going to learn it from men or women? And I said, women and men express things differently. And he just rolled his eyes at me. And I went, don't roll your eyes at me. I said, just take it as a given that we would like to know. What difference does it make? I said, take it as a given. We would just like to know if there are any women in that group. And he just cut out of the Zoom. I gotta go. Thin skin. Anyway, the feminine is rising. The feminine is rising. And it's making the toxic masculine crazy. It's just making it nuts. And that's why we're seeing all the crap that we're seeing I was going to say in Washington, but really this entire, I keep wanting to say structure. That's not the right word. This entire system that we've grown up in has been just so dysfunctional for so many groups, and most particularly for women. Some would argue that and say, no, it's people of color, or no, it's immigrants, or no, it's, disabled people or differently abled people. And the fact is, it's terrible for everybody. But the one group that is absolutely not even seen is women. Our situations have been so normalized. They're kind of diffuse throughout all of culture. And so people don't even acknowledge that there's a big effing problem. And there is. There are a lot. And the biggest solvable problem is our believing that we can't be different in that system, and that we can't alter that system by being different, which is, I've learned that that's exactly what we do. And our superpower is emotion, and that's because it's energy. So when we learn to work with the energies of emotion and we shift how we are, we shift what's going on outside, which is freaking awesome. We have emotion really is our superpower. In very many ways, and that's the emotion is feminine, and of course, feminine is something everybody has access to, right? Like we're all made of feminine and masculine. The structure, the system. Why do I want to say structure? The system has put masculine only in place, and then because you cannot stay healthy when you only have one wing of a whole. Like you got it, I always think of it like one wing of a bird. And you just can't go in a straight, you can't go forward. If you're a bird and you've got one wing, that's it. You're going to go round and round in circles. And that's what's happened. And so now we're all effed up and we need the feminine, and the feminine is rising. And the one wing is used to like, I'm the only one. I'm so important. Oh my God, I'm so important. Like, what do you mean you want to be in the room? What do you mean you want to help me? Well, no, it's all mine. No, it ain't. No, it's really not. And so they're over there telling us not to be emotional. Like that guy in the oh my God, he was talking about some polarizing man who, I mean, he's deliberately polarizing, and he has some kind of a book or a whatever he has, and he calls it Fuck Your Feelings, Get to Work. Are you serious? Really? And that's why men are like this all the time. They're always like, I don't know why I'm so upset. I don't know why I'm so unhappy. And it's why we get so upset all the time. Hey, David, welcome. Because when we are without the feminine, when we are without the ability to have our emotion and have it be very liquid and very, be the energy that it is and move through us and enlighten us and inform us, and we can use it as a jumping off point. When we can't do that and instead we're shooting on ourselves, I shouldn't do this, I shouldn't feel this, the feminine is not good, you shouldn't be doing this, you're too weak, all that bullshit. We hurt ourselves. We actually hurt ourselves, and we end up like this, where, our emotions are right here, and all we're looking at is our spilt cups, and that hurts. It literally hurts physically. I had the craziest experience. I fell down and went boom in my life, in my financial life, about 10, 11 years ago. And I was busy beating the hell out of myself and just being really mean to me. And I was already really good at it. I've been on an intense personal spiritual growth journey for like 40 years now. So, okay, I tell you, everything is so much better now. Everything is so good now, and can only get better. Where before it was like trying, 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 trying. It was maddening. Fortunately, I know how to persevere. But this is a really, really dark time in my life. And I was sitting there and I was beating myself up. I was all alone in a room and I'm beating myself up emotionally. And I suddenly had the most intense experience of feeling the physical impact of the mean things I was saying to myself. Is that not wild? Like they felt like icicles, the really, really sharp icicles, the ones that come to like a really sharp point. That's what it felt like. And like I said, I'd been mean to myself for a long time. And so I said to myself, I was like, holy crap, this really hurts. Like I could feel little points all over from inside, as if the icicles were pushing from the inside. I'm going, oh my God, that actually, what they said is true. Words do hurt. Oh my God. And I thought, well, maybe, I mean, I've done Reiki for other people in the past, and I've, just held the space for them and not pushing a certain outcome, and it's been very helpful for people. What if I do it for myself? So I imagine myself going inside and very, very gingerly approaching the first point, which was right here. And I imagine myself in that darkness and sitting down very carefully in a cross-legged position, very gently. And I was internally, I was saying to that point, I'm just here to give you some mercy. I'm not here to change you. I'm not here to push against you. I'm just here to be with you in mercy. And before I could even finish the sentence, the icicle just melted. And I opened my eyes and went, "What was that? What the heck was that?" I said, "Wow, let me try another one." So I went to another one, and there were a lot of them, and it took me about half an hour. I melted all of that. It was insane. And for the next 3 days, I was in bliss. I don't mean I was like on drugs kind of bliss. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't like, but I was in perfect balance, and I was so just in peaceful joy, quiet joy of like nothing could throw me. And I was like, God, I could stay here my whole life. This would be good. This would be a good place to stay. So the words matter, the concepts matter, and the feminine is coming in. And I think women, we've taken on the toxic masculine, not the divine masculine. We've taken on the toxic masculine view of what it means to be a woman, and we've internalized it as a way of staying safe. Like if I adapt, then I will figure out how to keep myself safe, and I'll be able to stay out of trouble or whatever. But we've taken it on as if it were part of us, part of our identity, and it's not. So I'm going to ask. Oh, and this comes out. Three came out. Okay. Um, what are you doing? What are you doing over here? Uh, I was going to ask what as a human collective do we have to focus on to allow the divine feminine, to allow the feminine to come in a way that feels gentle, in a way that feels like we can start to understand that it's been missing. There's nothing wrong with us. We haven't done it wrong. It's just, this is the system, the programming, the mental programming that we've been raised with. And even the word feminine still very much has that flavor of weakness. And feminine is anything but weak. I mean, anything but weak. Have you seen, thank you. Have you seen those videos of young men going into these places where they can put these gizmos on their bellies, and they can turn it up like little bit by little bit, not to kill them, but to get them to feel what it feels like to be in labor. And it's eye-opening for these guys. It's like, are you kidding me? And it's like, we don't even have to push anything out through our urethra. This is insane. Like, what the hell? Yeah, it's pretty intense. Feminine is soft in terms of allowing. When you allow all of the divinity that is all around us all the time, when you allow it to be, when you allow yourself to be in vibrational receptivity to it, that is the powerful feminine. It doesn't mean you allow people to hurt you or take advantage of you. That's being out of alignment with knowing who you are. So I was going to ask, what do we need to bring forward for us? And these three cards came out. So let's see what they have to tell us. Okay, so I've got the Six of Cups and the Hierophant upside down, which interestingly is just what I was talking about. So the The Six of Cups is like nostalgia. It's looking back at what we know and like yearning for it. So there's a kind of yearning that we do even for stuff that we don't like anymore because it's familiar and because we've made it a part of our identity. And so it becomes a thing where we go, oh my God, I'm really not sure who I'll be if I don't emulate this or align with this or feel this. Now, I have to tell you that as somebody who's been going through a powerful lot of growth in the last year, especially um, in the last 3 years is when it really started to ramp up. Um, I can spend time going back into what I used to feel and all of that. But the further down the road I get, the more it's like somebody said to me, she, meaning my younger me, she is now my friend. Like I can talk to her and I can thank her for all that she went through. I can thank her for surviving. I can thank her for persevering because she's the one who was willing to go through that boot camp of struggle and survival and personal and spiritual growth so that I could be here and use all of that suffering as a jumping off point. So it's not bad to look back. But we do have to look at the rules that we followed as not the rules. They're the rules that we were taught. Like, I'm just not important, or um, I'm never going to get ahead because I'm a woman. That's not true. That's not true. Now, does that mean that if I look at the outside world and I see that men are getting promoted and I'm not, or that I'm being abused by people and nobody will make this man stand up for it, or whatever the deal is? Or if you're a man, where have I been overlooked because I'm too feminine? I'm too caring. I'm too compassionate. And they don't want that. Well, first of all, you very well might be in the wrong environment. You might have to change jobs. You might have to change partners. You might have to stop hiding what it is about you that's really beautiful. When you get tired of being a one-celled organism and you say, I'd like to be both masculine and feminine, and I'd like to discover who I am as a complete human spiritual being, there's some changes that are going to happen. So you want to be super gentle and take tiny steps with that. You don't want to make big, giant leaps, like, okay, I'm quitting my job tomorrow. Don't do that. Don't do that to yourself. I've done it and it sucks. Like, I'm going to prove that I really mean this and I'm going to just like jump out of this job and then I have nothing else. Like I was a real daredevil when I was like in my 30s, 40s even. And now I'm a little more strategic and kinder to me. But it is really time to stop carrying the toxic masculine as an external measure and as an internal identity, because it is neither. It is based on lack, which causes greed, which causes lack of compassion. It's time to put that down, to let it go. How do we do that? See, I'm a very practical person. I want to be able to help people know how, not just what. Because there are lots of happy little sayings out there that, that have pretty pictures on them and so like, persevere, or I don't know, stuff out there. What was the one? Something about your name or your identity everybody else has already taken, respect yourself, or I can't remember what it is. Maybe you guys know. If somebody knows, write it in the chat. I have no idea. It feels like a long day. All of the days since November feel like long days. Woo. And let me mention something about what's happening with our lack of politics, with our crazy crap that's going on. In case you're freaking out, um, you're in good company, right? I've been watching a lot of up until about, I'm gonna say 2 weeks ago when I needed to take a break. My nervous system was going, I cannot. I went, okay. But up until then, my nervous system was being very nourished and I was being very calmed by watching all of these people on YouTube, people who are tarot readers, who are remote vision readers and psychics and things like that, who know about politics way more than I do. And so I was actually getting my news from them because what they were doing was saying exactly what was really going on. And at the same time, they were also giving the energetic perspective and also some astrology perspectives. And so I heard things that really helped calm me on the day to day. So things like the energy that we've been living in since about, I don't know, February, I think, because I'm not an astrologer, but what I think was February. We haven't lived in this kind of turbulent energy historically since the French and American revolutions. Gee, that opened my eyes. Good Lord. Okay, so the American and French revolutions. Yeah, and the other thing that everybody's talking about is that this is an evolutionary period that we're in. No kidding. No kidding. So the astrology also says that this is a time of power to the people, that we're moving out of the darkness of, I'll call it the single-celled organism, the idea of, there's power and there's powerlessness, power and powerlessness. Like there's just this, it's black and white, it's good and bad. And we're moving into, instead of power over, we're moving into power with and power of everybody. So that said to me, okay, cool. I'm in the right place at the right time because there's really, if I want to feel useful, and I do, then there's really no better place to be, no better time to be. Does it always tickle? Really? Not so much. Anyway, thank you. I just want to thank you for a moment. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you very, very much. Anybody have a question, or it can be business. It doesn't have to be business. But if you do, just, I think I can see the chat from here. I'm not missing anything, right? Okay, good. This is my second time being on Substack. I've been on TikTok for about 4 months now, and I've been doing YouTube. I have a podcast actually called Next Level Empowerment, which is about men and women who are doing business and life outside of the shoulds. That's why I called my business. I started my business in 2019, and I called it the Goodbye Good Girl Project, because enough with the rule following. It sucks. It's rules that are outside of us. They're not connected to us. So, like, I tried for a couple of decades to start a business, and I kept on working at it, and I kept on working at it, and I kept on failing, I kept on failing, and it was not for lack of trying. Not at all. And what I finally came to understand, because now I have my feet on the ground and now I'm moving forward, and I launched an app that I'm building with founding members. I'm looking for founding members, and it's like a whole big thing. It's very cool. To help other people like me step out of the failure of trying to follow the rules of building a business. Like, I know I had some guy from SCORE. Do you guys know SCORE? Service Corps of Retired Executives. They don't go by that. They still call it SCORE, but no, we're not retired executives. Okay, whatever. But it's people who want to help other people with their business, but they're very traditional. And so the first thing this one guy said to me was, without even knowing what my business was going to be about, the man sitting there across from me, we're having coffee, and he goes, well, the first thing you have to do is have a business plan. And I'm like, but I don't even have the full structure of what it is that I'm doing yet. Like, how can I write a business plan if I'm busy sort of living the unfolding of my, of my entrepreneurship? He's like, nope, that's what you need first. And it's like, oh God, please shut up. I didn't say that to him, but that's my head was going, oh, come on. And I had to get to the point of like, oh, forget this stuff. Just forget all of it. Forget it. And come to a place where I was like, what am I going to have fun with? So I was still stuck in I still had my feet stuck in some glue, right? And this is only 4 months ago, maybe 3, 4 months ago, something like that. And I'm coming on to YouTube, doing YouTube lives and TikTok lives. And at some point I went, God dang, I am so bored. And I love going live. I love public speaking. Put me on camera, put me on a stage with a microphone. And no, it's not about being egotistical. It's about being a massive communicator and connector and teacher. And I love it. So fabulous. But I was suddenly so freaking bored with what I was talking about. And I said, screw it, I'm going to do some tarot. Suddenly my mojo was back. And suddenly I was like, okay. And I got 2,000 viewers in like no time at all. And like, what? Oh my God. People get it. Oh, okay, cool. Let's keep doing this. This is fun. Because we're all out here trying to make stuff work. We're all out here in careers that either we don't like or we do like, and we can't make them what we want, or we are like, I'd like to start a business, but it just sounds like a ridiculous amount of work, like it would be miserable, or maybe you're stuck in the place I was stuck, which was I can't imagine doing a part-time job and then trying to start my business. Like, how could that even work? It works. Anyway, there's so much to it. What do we need to do? What do we need? I'm going to ask the cards. What do we need as a collective to focus on most at this moment to actually, it was upside down, but it is the word world card. The question I had in my head was, what do we need to focus on that will allow us to emerge from the idea that, oh, I can only work for somebody else. I can't make changes that I need to make. I can't go against the system. And the card was the world, which the world is like, you've got everything you need. The world is, you've got this. And what we have to focus on, the way I'm interpreting this card, is that the world is turned upside down. It actually always was. The world, the culture that we have was never created for alternative thinkers, for women, for people of color, for immigrants, for the differently abled, it was created. It was created. Our business systems were created in the 1800s, early 1800s, almost middle, by rich white men for rich white men. Because at that point, who saw women coming into it? Who saw people of color coming into it? Like, they didn't see that. There was nobody visionary enough to do anything about that. Or if they were, they didn't say anything. So the system was set up in a specific way. And I'm remembering Mad Men right now, the show Mad Men, which was utterly brilliant. It just felt like my childhood. Now I wasn't born in the early 50s, but the entire structure of men being like the masters of the universe and women having to, wear dresses to work and be agreeable. Well, we're still doing the agreeable thing. That's still a thing. I have people who try to tell me it's different for young women now, for some of them, but the culture has not changed. And to quote an amazing woman who has you've got to go see this thing on YouTube, 45-minute um, documentary called Killing Us Softly 4, the number 4. And her name is Jean. I can't think of her last name. She did this movie 4 different times, 4 different iterations of it. Last one in 2010. And this thing took so much weight off my shoulders. I went into spiritual growth um, and personal development pretty early in my life. At least it felt early, like late 20s for me. And I felt like all of the things that were holding me back internally were my fault, like 100% my fault. If I could just see things clearly, if I could just, do things right, then life would be easier for me. Oh, shoot, I put the card away. Darn it. I didn't see that like the world was upside down. Like I saw that it was upside down, but I didn't see that it was the world and I didn't have to join it. So I was busily trying to be upside down in order to be successful in life, right? I mean, it's nuts. And that's what we do because we think there's no alternative. And there's actually nothing but alternative that's waiting for us. Golly, where was I going with that? Right. So I didn't see that the cards were stacked against me and I thought it's all me. And I watched this movie and it showed how systemic, how completely shot through our systems, our jokes, our advertisements, our mindsets, how it's all just inserted firmly into our minds. It is, now she talks about it as it's inserted into our subconscious. I have a different view about the subconscious. It's not worth going into at this moment, but I found that I could start exiting my allegiance with, my connection with, my belief in these seemingly immovable systems and programs by learning how to slightly shift in an emotional way, my emotional connection to what I was thinking. Because you can think a million thoughts, right? And you do. But just thinking doesn't really get most people there. We've got to switch the thing that activates our nervous systems and pulls us back and stops us from feeling courageous and things like that. So I was watching her movie, and when I understood, oh my God, I've been brainwashed. We've all been brainwashed. Women, men, children. We've all been brainwashed. I went, holy crap, it's not my fault. It's not my fault. That took so much weight off of me. Like it was like taking a steel door and burning it up. And now I had the real door in front of me that I could walk through. It was wonderful. Go to YouTube. Sorry, I've got something in my eye. Go to YouTube and look up Killing Us Softly 4. It's really worth 45 minutes of your time. Truly is. Yeah. And what it was, it's a filmed live workshop that this woman gave with slides, but we're not watching her slide. The slides are put into a movie like fashion. So we see them close up and all that. And some of it's hilarious. It's not a heavy movie to watch because she's got a perfect balance of this is the real deal, y'all, and funny. And there are men and women in the audience. And watching the faces of the women and the men is when you get to see them, it's really lovely. Because you can see wonder, you can see relief, you can see awakening, you can see all kinds of things. It's just beautiful. And she must have been at a college or something. It's just gorgeous. So what the tarot were saying is understand that it's not you. If you're not succeeding, if you're not getting to where you want to be with your life path, and you're feeling like it's because it's your fault, that entire mindset that we've been educated to have is incorrect. And the reason that it's incorrect is we're vibrational beings. We're not machine parts that have to adapt to the external machine in order to make the machine work. But this is the like big umbrella mindset that we've got, that we are enslaved, really, to this environment that we've been born into. And that's actually the big lie. Yeah, you still have to make sure when you're crossing the street, there aren't any cars coming. Like, let's be practical about some things, right? This is not about we'll sit at home and dream big, and whoever it is you need it to come and give you the perfect job will knock on your door. However, that does happen. I mean, what I mean is amazing stuff happens, like amazing things happen. Like the other night. And to me, this was amazing. I'm part of a group, a team of, we're all solopreneurs, all doing different businesses. And we've all ended up on a similar platform that is extraordinary and keeps getting more extraordinary because we all have a voice. We're all allowed to share what we would like to see happen, and things do change because of it. It's like an organism. We're like birthing ourselves and this incredible platform on which we have our products, and we can be affiliates for each other and make money that way. And it's pretty cool. No, it's extremely cool. And so I met this woman who came to one of the meetings that anybody can come to. And she was just a really dynamic woman who's from LA, but she's living now in Australia. And you know how you meet a person and you're like, oh my God, you are totally cool. And I just like, you're awesome. So I was like, I want you on my podcast and let's meet. So she's like, absolutely. So we met like a few days later, 8:30 Eastern for me, and 11:15 in the morning, or 10:30 in the morning for her. These time zones will kill me yet. And I don't know what it was I said but whatever it was I was putting out. And I was just being me, because I'm finally at a point in my life where I'm like, oh, fuck it. This is who I am. And I can trust. The reason I can do that is a lot of practice of like coming to understand that when I act like me, like nobody dies, there's no bloodshed. If I screw up and I hurt somebody's feelings, I am more than happy to say, oh, dear God, I am so sorry. Because I trust I'm not setting out to hurt you. It's not my aim. That's the opposite of my aim. So I can trust that. But my God, the system has us doubting ourselves to death. So that's one of the things that has to be brought internally as a sense, as a feeling, as an energy, as a knowing. Like I can trust myself. I can trust that I'm out for good. I'm not out for bad. That's good stuff. So whatever it was I was putting out there, she just apparently was just like, oh my God, you're amazing. And she said, I mean, she was a big DJ in LA at one point. So I have this kind of starstruck thing that still happens to me. Like if I met George Clooney tomorrow, I'd be like, what? You're George? Do you know you're George Clooney? You know what I mean? Like I'm also an actor. So it's like, I've got just this, and I know that these are just people. I do. I really know that. I also know that Hollywood is bullshit. Like look at the stuff it does to people. But acting and public speaking are about being 100% authentic and sharing and lighting up and getting people to join and being free. And it like, count me in. And I still get starstruck. So, okay. Anyway, so she said, well, I'm going to be doing this thing in a couple of months where I'm going to be doing a stack. Do you know what a stack is? And I'm like, not really. What's a stack? She said, well, it's where you put a bunch of people together. They each have a different offering. And then you market the thing out to everybody, and you give an event where everybody gets to talk, and then everybody gives away a free gift. And I'm like, oh, okay. I've done those before. Okay. Yeah. Now I know what a stack is. And she said, I want to put you up at the top part of my list. And I'm like, really? She says, yeah. I said, I would love to do it. She goes, yeah. And I think you should do XYZ. Now, my business has been about helping women claim their voice, visibility, and value so that they can stand free, share what they want to share, do the business they want to do, be the women they want to be, and start living outside of the shoulds. What she said to me was, and she's a branding genius. So if you need a branding person, let me know. I'll send you her way. And she said she started looking up on ChatGPT what I should call my course for her thing in October. And she says, okay, so here's some options. And I was like, oh my God, Intuitive Business Tarot Blueprint. She went, I like that one too. That's the one I was thinking. And I'm like, oh my God. And my head exploded. And I went, oh my God, when I launch my app, I'm going to launch it through that doorway. I'm going to launch it through the business doorway because yes, people, and especially women, but men too, but more women than men traditionally want personal growth and feel a need for it because we're more held down. But I thought, but how do you convince people that they need what you have to offer in terms of personal development? I'm very, very good at this stuff, but I was having trouble with the marketing of it. And also I found that I attracted one client who I ended up being more of a therapist. I'm not a therapist. And so there was all this transference going on. She was like, you're my savior. And I'm like, I'm nobody's savior, honey. I'm a teacher. I'm a coach. But I'm not your therapist. And so doing it through the business lens keeps me out of trouble. Good idea. Please keep me out of trouble. So now I'm going to have access to a lot of high-powered people, including, it turns out, a friend of mine who, it turns out, I found out this week, is a longtime friend of this lady. So I'm going to get to do this with a woman who I consider a good friend, who I've been in this team with, where we get to meet every single day of the week if we have the time and we want to, and there's mutual support and there's teaching each other everything from marketing to sales to AI video creation to digital marketing to LinkedIn sales strategies to and friendship, like showing up at each other's events to support one another. And dear God, and it's none of that is extra payment of anything. So like, count me in. So one of the things we've got to do is we've got to start looking at the world and understanding that it is the world that is upside down. And we've been enculturated and programmed to practice the thoughts, the perspectives, the attitudes, and the expectations that go along with that. And when we start practicing something different from that, because we are an energetic part of this global soup, when we start to switch how we're thinking and how we respond and how we see things, and we start to have more possibilities that coming towards us, and we have more that we can see, we're suddenly, and I'll speak for myself, suddenly I'm not stuck in fear. I'm not stuck in fear of lack or fear of visibility or fear of whatever. I'm not stuck in that. I'm not spending my energy, my time, and my focus on that. And instead, I'm focused on, wow, I wonder what else is here. I'm taking my spiritual knowing that we are actually living in a sea of pure positive energy. People call it God, the universe, spirit. We're living in that energetic sea. And we're over here going, I only see this. I only see this. Like it. And even when we know that, even if we've been in spirituality stuff forever, and we're like, I know, how do I get out of it? The thing that I found is the power place is our emotional body. When I shifted, no lie, just shifted by 1%. So that's what I call one of the energetic thing that I teach. I call it the 1% solution. And so when I shifted in the middle of, I'm not being facetious or calling this something it is, I was in the middle of a nervous breakdown. 3 years ago. And it was like sink or swim time. And I am very resilient. And I have a lot of things I will try. I will come up with strategies till the cows come home, leave again, come home again, and leave again. Like I will come up with all kinds of ways to try things. I'm just resourceful that way. Wasn't born that way, but I've become that way over my life, and I'm glad for it. It's a wonderful thing to be able to have as something that you are and that you do. And I said I ran out. It's the middle of the night. It's summertime. It's 2:30 in the morning, and I'm in terror because I'm like, I really don't want to hurt myself. I'm really seriously in massive depression here, and I just really feel like I have nothing else to grasp at. And so I said to Spirit, I said, I got nothing. It was a statement of truth. It wasn't like, I got nothing here. What are you doing? I'm having trouble. Help me out. It wasn't that. It was just statement of truth. I got nothing. Now I had Abraham Hicks playing on YouTube and had been for the weeks that I was trying to stay out of this particular place or get out of this particular place. I was hoping that Abraham Hicks that energy would like lift me, which it wasn't. But I still had it playing because, hey, can't hurt. So I said nothing. I said, I got nothing. And what the idea, the inspiration that came in was, well, why don't you try doing a rampage? Because Abraham Hicks has these things called rampages, and they're not anger. They are like rampages of appreciation, rampages of self-love, rampages of forgiveness, rampages of self-worth, and things like that. And so I've seen them. I've seen these things be done for years and years and years. But Abraham doesn't specifically, as far as I know, teach how to do this stuff. So I was like, I immediately said to myself, I don't know how to do that. And myself said to me, well, what else have you got? You got nothing to lose, babe. I went, okay. So I picked up a journal and I picked up a pen. And what I had noticed about rampages was that, and all of this, by the way, this is the 1% solution. But just hearing it once doesn't mean that you'll get it. But if you do, good. Please use it. Please shift your life. It's good stuff. So what I had noticed about rampages that had been done with other people was that somebody would sit in the hot seat and they would say, I just don't know what to do. My job sucks, or I'm trying to start this business. I'm working myself to death and I feel like I'm dying. I don't have any time to rest or whatever. And Abraham would say, well, let me ramp up your energy base. Whatever the words were, it was like, let me help you. And okay, so and Abraham would say, I'm going to speak as if I'm you. Like, oh my goodness, this work is very difficult. And I feel like I can't stop, because if I stop working this hard, then I'm going to fail. I don't want to fail. And I know that doesn't feel good to me. I don't like that. There's got to be another way. And I know that I've had other times in my life where I felt like I could rest a little bit at least. And so what Abraham is doing there is going from here's the emotional place I am, and let me ratchet it up by what I call 1%. So it's not going, I've got to get rid of this. No, it's okay. No, get out. Stop feeling that way. Stop thinking. It's not that. Because if you've been in spiritual stuff at all, you know that what you resist persists, because what you focus on increases. No good, right? No good. Let me focus on $1 million. Let's make that stuff increase. That sounds good to me. But if you really do want to do it that way, you better be able to feel what it feels like to be freaking amazingly wealthy and practice that feeling, because it's the feeling that gets you there. Because the feeling becomes your identity. And the more you resonate with that feeling of like, yeah, this feels more like me. This feels more like me than I'm broke, I don't know what to do. Which one feels more like the real you? And if you can practice that in some way every day, you start to see shifts, not only internally, where you go, I think I might be full of crap, because believing unrelievedly that there's nothing but crap out there does no longer quite matches with the part of me that's starting to shift a little bit. Now I'm like, then there might be a possibility of things getting better. That's a big shift from there's nothing to it could be. That is a big freaking shift. And that's why it has to be 1%. It's the 1% solution, not the 100% solution. Because you're always standing where you are and reaching for 1%. 1% is where surrender is, because 1% is so close to where you already are that you don't fight with it. You're like, yeah, it's true. It's really, really, really cool stuff. Anyway, within 10 minutes, I was out of danger. I was still freaking depressed, but I no longer feared for my life. You think that's a big enough shift? I do. That was 10 freaking minutes. And then I kept writing, because clearly, if I could make that kind of shift, because I'd had depression for decades, clinical depression. I'd had it for decades. And so here I am writing and writing. And for the next 5 days, if you saw me, I was writing. And what I was writing about was how I felt. And I was then saying something to see if it made me feel a little bit of relief, if it made me feel a little bit of just a sensing of something. Like with a lot of stuff, I would just sense, like, it feels like there's more oxygen in my body somehow. That's not really an emotion, right? But that's a feeling. It's a sense. It's a relief. It's a release. At the end of 5 days, just happened to be 5 days. Don't ask me why. I don't know. But at the end of this particular day, which happened to be day 5, I was like, oh my God, something's different. What is it? What happens? What's going on? And it was that black cloud that I had had here since my freaking 20s wasn't there anymore. It just wasn't there. Now, I still stayed on my meds because the meds I'm on are crap. Getting off of them is terrible. But I no longer had depression every day, because I was on the meds and still had depression every day. Really? So now, no depression. And my life started to become my life again. And I said, okay, if I can do that, which is a bloody miracle, what else can I change in my life by going to the emotional and shifting it by just 1%? That's what I've been doing for 3 years. So that's the reason why when I was going live on TikTok and YouTube and all these other places, and I went, I am so freaking bored. I knew that because the feeling was not what I wanted, that I needed to do something that would make me feel some relief, something even 1% or 0.001% better than I am so freaking bored. And I picked up my tarot deck and I went live and I went, okay, here I am. And TikTok exploded and went, hi, because everybody loves tarot. Not everybody, but you know what I mean. Tarot is a easier audience than, say, I want to sell widgets. I don't know. It's just easier. And you know that you've got people who feel as you do, that there's more to life than just the skin on our bodies. There's more going on. So that's nice, because you're talking to more of your ideal customers and your ideal friends and your ideal colleagues and all of that. So, oh, some cards for us. Oh gosh, 3 of them are upside down, but it comes out at the end with the star card, which is a really good card. Where it's like, we are balanced, we are showing up, we are visible, we are all that in ourselves. And the light is shining in us, through us, and on us. I'll take it. So what is this telling us here? Let me see. So right now, we've got the 10 of Pentacles reversed. So there's some kind of abundance that, and I'm going to say it's about work. Am I going to say it's about work? Is it work or money? It's work that impacts our money. We've got it turned around backwards. And this is something I was really guilty of for a long time. Putting the money first instead of what we love to do, who we love to do it with first. We need to put that other stuff first. I just watched Simon Sinek, a little snippet of Simon Sinek saying that he was fortunate enough when he was a kid and he started working, not a kid, but he was in his 20s and he started working. And he was offered, I think he said he was offered 2 different jobs. Yeah, he was offered 2 different jobs. And one of them would have paid more. But he didn't like the guy he interviewed with, who he'd be working with, as much as he liked, and he very much liked the guy from the other job. So he took the other job, even though it was less pay, and it put him on a trajectory of success. To me, this was like, geez, if we all knew that, if we all had the courage to do that. I mean, sometimes many times it's felt to me like I can't just go out and let go of this job and make less money. Yes, you can, Lori. So, we've got it backwards, y'all. We really do. But we do have the opportunity, and it was upside down. It came out upside down, but here we have the 6 of Swords. We've come out of a really turbulent developmental time in our professional lives, in our history, our human history. I remember the amazing writer, I think it was Daniel Pink, who said that, who's one of the number of writers who said, hey, we're going into a period where the success is going to be had by those who are working from the right side of their brain, which creates the right side of the brain connects to the left, which is the creative. The left side of the brain connects to the right, which is the strategic. And he said, we've been operating from here, to the strategic solely. And he said, what's happening now is the world is going to start leaning on the people who are with the creative, the intuitive, the instinctive. What is that? Feminine. Let's get some balance going on in here, right? Abso-freaking-lutely. So this says to us that we have this opportunity to leave the old. It's going to be a mental challenge. We're very, very accustomed to thinking in the old ways. And so we have to find a good reason why we should change. And yes, the world is upside down. Yes, the systems are breaking. These are very good reasons, but it can be very scary if you think, but how am I supposed to, you think, oh God, there's just no other way to do it. And it's energetic. It really is that emotional piece. We've just, once we bring in the feminine, we're going to be sitting in the catbird seat, you guys. So that's why I'm creating my app, which has a program called Business Building 101. And it's all about doing business and building business from a different place entirely. Because that's what we have to do. And then we get to be this. We get to frickin' shine. I say yes. I vote yes. And if I'm voted off the old island, well, you know what? I was a while ago, probably. So that's okay. It's all right. But anyway, if you guys want to connect with me, please do. I've got my blog is on Substack. It's the Goodbye Good Girl project, Goodbye Good Girl blog. I've got my YouTube channel, which is Next Level Empowerment. I'm starting to go live here, and I'm very much appreciate your company. I thank you very, very much. So I don't know the times yet that I'm going to be going live on here, but I hope that in future you will feel that you have been exposed to me enough that you're like, I think I'll ask her a question or bring up a topic, because I only talk a blue streak like this if you don't want to talk also, so we're good. Let's see, what else can I tell you? Oh, and if you want information about anything I've talked about, the group that I'm in, the program, the app I'm going to be launching, that I just started putting out notices about it today. Anything that you want to have information about, just connect with me here, send me a DM. I'll be glad to I'll be glad to help. Oh, and soon I will also have a couple links for you if you want to have like a full reading. I do 30-minute, 60-minute readings. So um, I think it's time for me to go and work on some stuff for my business and then go to sleep. So I wish you very well. I wish you everything fantastic. And I wish you especially love and moxie. All right. See you soon. Bye now.